Namaste, my love. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Anya Light. I'm here to walk with you through your spiritual healing journey. When I learned this one thing, everything in my life changed for the better. And that is a very humbling lesson, which is that I, the individual ego, the individual personality, the separate individual mind, doesn't know what the hell is going on. It can't. It can't fully know everything that's going on. It can know parts, but it cannot really know the whole of any given situation. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with a beautiful gift that we've been given. Each one of us has innumerable spirit guides, angels, non-physical beings of light and love that walk with us every single moment of every single day. And when we learn to communicate with them, everything changes. Everything changes. These beings walk by our side through everything. And just because we can't perceive them with the physical eye does not mean they are not there. Although some of us have special gifts where we can perceive them. Sometimes I do see, it looks like wisps of smoke or bright lights flashing, different orbs, different colors. One time, one of my spirit guides appeared to me physically as these big blue, it looked like lava lamp. You know those blobs of like color inside of lava lamps? It looked like that, and they were up against a wall, bright blue in color. It was phenomenal. But anyway, we may be able to perceive them or not, but whether we can see them with our physical eyes doesn't really matter, because all that matters is we just start to communicate with them because they're there for us. And when we start doing that regularly, the ego steps aside. And the question of what should I do? Where should I go from here? I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I don't know what choice to make, right? We're faced with so many decisions every day, and that's so freaking overwhelming, isn't it? We're afraid of making mistakes. We're afraid of going down the wrong path. We're afraid of countless things. But as soon as we remember that our guides exist for us and they're there for us, there's like a feeling of like, oh, there's relief. If we're willing to set our ego aside and to communicate with our guides, everything changes. Everything changes, because the pressure that we had on our shoulders before of, I got to do this life right, I got to figure this out, it's all on my shoulders, that goes away. I'm not saying it goes away entirely. I still sometimes get lost in that confusion, but the more and more, we live and abide in that state. It's not very long that I go these days in forgetting that my guides exist. I am in almost constant communication and dialogue with them. Our guides help us to say, I don't know. And that's actually a really freeing thing. When we go to them and we say, I don't know how to do this. Here's the best part. When we say, I don't know how to do this, like let's say you've been struggling with an addiction and you've been trying to quit. Let's say you smoke cigarettes and you've smoked for 30 years and you're like, I've tried to quit so many times. I don't know how to do it. I'm lost. It's just so frustrating. Go to your guide. Tune into your breath. Become still. And say to them, say to your guides or guide, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I've tried to do this thing. I'm scared. I'm confused. I feel weak. And you just talk to them like a friend, like your best friend. And they are your best friend. I don't know how to do this. Please help me. Please. You can get mad at your guides too. That's the great thing too. You can get mad at them. You can raise your voice at them. Like, what the heck are you doing? You're supposed to be helping me out, but I got all this shit happening. What the f? It's actually really good when we can talk to our guides with a range of emotions, because it's not just like this stark, dry prayer. For how many of you out there have gone to church and you've prayed? I put that in quotes because it's not true prayer. You've prayed to God. It's like, oh dear Lord, now bless me with your bountiful love, blah, 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 blah. And it's like dry and it's not real. It's just stiff. There's no life in that. But when we can talk to our guides, share our raw, real, honest emotions, that's when it gets real. That's when they start talking back to us. They talk back to us through the synchronicities around us. They talk back to us through the mouths of other human beings who are perfectly placed in our path to give us guidance, support, and love. And they come to us in the growing sense of peace that we have in our heart. The lack of fear that starts to emanate from our life. I just giggled because I almost knocked my microphone off the table there. And there's a beautiful path that I'm on, and you don't have to be on this path, but I'm just sharing it as an example, this path of bhakti yoga, where we intentionally surrender ourselves to a spirit guide or multiple guides. When we're on that path, sharanam, Sanskrit word that means surrender. Sharanam is the goal of bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is not about doing exercises, not about standing on your head, not about twisting yourself into a pretzel. It's about just talking to your guides. That's it. Sharing your emotions with your guides and asking them for help, and ultimately surrendering all your decisions to them. Now, in our Western mindset, that might seem very weird, scary, or even dangerous. Like, I have this one student, for example. She comes to my regular groups here in Ohio, and she hates the word surrender. She can't stand it. It is too triggering for her. So I get it. If that word does not resonate with you, you don't have to use it. It's like the word God. That word can be super triggering for people. Don't use any word that doesn't resonate. Just pick a different word. The words, my friends, the words don't really matter that much. It's about the feeling, the emotion, the healing, the growth behind it. So, but I like the word, personally, like the word surrender, sharanam. So as I sharanam, surrender more and more, I relinquish decisions. And while that might seem like insane, like, what are you, losing your mind? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Absolutely. Because this cannot see the whole picture. This is limited. This individual mind of Anya, based on her limitations, is not adequate. What is adequate is tuning into love. And our spirit guides are love. Love incarnate. Love itself. That's who they are. Archangel Michael, love. Jesus Christ, Michael. The Prophet Muhammad, love. Buddha, love. Padmasambhava, love. Kuan Yin, love. Krishna, love. Radha, love. All these beings, countless beings. Mikasui, founder of REIKI, love. Who are they? Love. They're the love that is this universe. So when we learn to surrender to them, an enormous freedom opens up. And I will close with this story. Last year, I was in a very challenging situation in my life. And the first part of this journey I was traveling all around different places in Northwest Ohio, living in different places. I was booted. I was booted from my home. Well, to be clear, it wasn't 100% that I was booted. I chose to leave. It kind of happened at the same time. My landlord tried to evict me at the same moment that I was saying, I'm moving out. So I don't know what I would have liked to have stayed, but this landlord was certifiably insane. And so I would have had to have moved eventually anyway. So it was a crappy situation. It was a place that I've lived for 7 or 8 years. I was very cozy, comfortable there. It was where all my students and clients came to see me. It was cozy. The Healing Waters home. It was amazing. So I had to leave, and I was presented over the next few months with these moments of what do I do next. And I was living in a spiritual community for a few months. And then they said, we just don't have the space here anymore. We're going through some internal reorganizations. You need to find another place to live. Didn't want to hear that. Horrible news. I was really upset, really stressed because I wanted to stay in that community as long as possible, but I was faced with this situation. So you know what I did? I practiced a practice that I love. I cannot recommend more. It's called the listening bowl practice. What you do is you sit down, light a candle, get in a meditative state, take a couple breaths, try to relax, and then you write down on as many pieces of paper as you would like every option you can think of in a given situation. So maybe for certain situations, there's like 3 or 4 options. For other situations, maybe you can dream up 12, 13 different scenarios, different pathways, which way to go. You write them down in separate pieces of paper. You take each piece of paper, fold it up into a square roughly of the same size. You put it in a bowl. I used a singing bowl. That's why I called it the listening bowl. You can put it in any kind of bowl. It doesn't really matter. You can put it in a hat, whatever. But you mix it up. You close your eyes. You say to your spirit guide, pick one for me. I have no idea what to do. You just admit humbly, I don't know. I am completely lost right now. I need you to decide for me what is in the highest good for myself and all beings. When you talk to your guides and ask them for help and direction, make sure to say what is in the highest good for me and all beings. Not just for you, but for everybody. What is the choice? What is the decision? What is the next move that is in the highest good for all beings? Close your eyes, pick a piece of paper, read it. That is what you do. And of course, you can also, I would recommend taking on some of those pieces of paper, writing things like, I'll tell you later, this isn't the right time for me to tell you, or check back later, or think of other options, or, check back tomorrow, things like that, right? Because maybe your guide doesn't want to tell you exactly in that moment. So think of different things. Like imagine that when you're writing out the different scenarios, imagine, what they could say. And just kind of put yourself in their shoes for a minute of like this being who has all the answers. What might they say back to you? Anyway, so leave yourself that, write at least one, where it's like, I'll tell you later or something like that. And so in my scenario, I'm sitting on the carpet, faced with a heartache. I got to move on from the place that I love, that place where I'm comfortable. I had just finished moving in too. I literally, like maybe 2 days prior to this hard conversation I had with the leadership in the community, I just finished unpacking, literally. And then they were like, yeah, sorry, you have to move on. And I was just like, whoa, I was blindsided. So I wrote down every scenario and I said, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And my particular guide I've been working with for a couple years, I have immense trust in him, but I've never been faced with such a dramatic situation before that I vowed to just take his guidance. Whatever he told me to do, I was going to do. So it was so funny because the piece of paper that I picked was actually the thing that I most wanted to do. Now, it doesn't always work out like that when you do the listening bowl practice, but I picked the piece of paper, I opened it up, and I was like, oh, great, this is the thing. And that piece of paper sent me on a journey where I ended up spending the summer living in a pop-up camper in the middle of this gorgeous, chunk of wildlife right on the outskirts of this small town. Every day I woke up to the birds chirping and stepped 2 feet outside of my camper to see this gorgeous field of wildflowers. And every night gazed up at the moon while I was barefoot peeing in the grass. Don't you just love peeing outside? It's the best thing. And I just felt so connected to nature, but I would have never gotten to that place if I would have never Sharanam surrendered. So once you, A, start to realize that spirit guides are real, and B, slowly over time start to surrender your decisions to them, your life becomes easier, more free, more peaceful. All that weight is not on your shoulders. We were born into a culture that says you have to do everything. You have to figure it out. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Come on, let's go. What the F is that? That's shit. That's bullshit. You don't have to do it that way. You have these angelic, non-physical beings who literally are by your side all the time. Right now, one of my main spirit guides is literally sitting in that chair. I can feel his energy, and he's laughing, giggling. It's great. I can feel him all the time. It's like an imaginary friend. And yeah, maybe this makes me crazy to 90% of the population, maybe more, 95% of the population thinks I'm batshit crazy. I don't care, because I'm happy. Most days I'm happy. Surrender, Sharanam, to your guides. Learn who your guides are. Connect with them. Talk with them. Hear them. Give up making choices. You don't have to anymore. I mean, you can if you want to, but if you're exhausted of it, if you're exhausted of constantly needing to figure out what is the best thing to do for my life, blah, you don't need to. Surrender. Sharanam. I love you so much, friends. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for making this channel a success by your presence. A number I've been seeing lately is 333. Me, you, and our guides. Comment below 333 if you resonated with this message. I love you. Namaste.